All right, welcome to the webinar today. We are going to be talking about, or we're going to go over questions that you have in your English pronunciation and fluency. So this webinar is for our current Pronunciation Pro students, whether you're in the basic or plus or premier package. This is an opportunity for you to come and get a little bit more information about the program, get some of your questions answered. So what I'm going to do today is I have received some emails from a few of you about questions that you've had with the Pronunciation Pro course. And so I'm going to address those questions, but then I'm also going to open it up and have you ask questions that you have for those of you who are here at attending this webinar today. And we'll go ahead and just kind of answer questions as they come up. And so as we're going through some of these preset questions, then go ahead and type out your question in the question box, and we'll have a chance to go over those a little bit later. Okay, so for today, just a little introduction for you who have, if this is your first webinar or you're just getting started with the Pronunciation Pro course. This is me and my little family. So my husband Dan and my 3 little boys. And my background is that I have a master's in communication sciences, and I'm nationally certified as a speech language pathologist. So what that means basically is that I've had a lot of schooling and a lot of training to be able to analyze speech patterns and be able to identify what it is that is causing any communication problems or any barriers in your communication skills. And what I've done with my career is that I have focused more on accent modification, is what it's technically termed in my profession, but basically helping non-native English speakers be able to communicate clearly and effectively in their English, since English is a second language for most, and be able to help you be clearly understood the first time you speak, and to feel confident while you speak English, because I think that confidence is a big issue with a second language, is that you're just not as confident as you need to be, knowing that I'm saying things correctly and that when I open my mouth, I'm going to be understood and that my message will be heard clearly. And as you go through this course, the Pronunciation Pro course, you learn a lot of skills, you learn a lot of details about English pronunciation and fluency, you learn how to use all of these skills together. And as you go through, what I've heard time and time again from my students is that as they've gone through the course, their confidence has increased because they finally know how to speak clearly and how to communicate in a way that will be very effective in their career, in their life, and everything. So that's what gets me excited. That's what keeps me going with developing this program and continuing to work through this program, is that I see what a difference it makes in my students' lives. And so I'm excited for you. I'm excited for you who are going through this course, and excited for what this can mean for you in your careers and in your future. Because it does make a big difference. There is a profound impact that you can have on the world within your realm, if you have the confidence that you need to speak up and to share your expertise and share your wisdom, share your knowledge, share your understanding, your experience. I feel very strongly that your voice needs to be heard. And anything that I can do to help you feel confident and have the skills to be heard is a pleasure for me. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. Well, first of all, these are my 3 little munchkins. They're They're my joy in life. Andrew, Jimmy, and Luke. So that's just a recent picture of them. So for all of you who don't know, we have a student Facebook page. So for those who are on Facebook, this is a chance for us to kind of interact a little bit and answer. I'm able to kind of communicate some things that are happening, like this webinar. I announced this webinar on the Facebook page. So if you're interested in getting on this Facebook page or Facebook group, go ahead and look for Pronunciation Pro Students is what it's called, and then I can accept you. We're working on getting, I need to get a link up on the profile page, on your profile page, so you can just click on that and get going, but that's on my to-do this week. All right, so let's just go ahead and get started. So these are questions, for those who are coming a little bit later, these are questions that have come in from students just through email that came in before this webinar. So one question that has been asked is, how should I practice? So as I'm going through this course, how should I practice the materials that are given? And I wanted to walk through kind of the step-by-step of how this works. So really, the way this program is set up is, and what I've found to be the most effective in being able to learn the correct sounds and rhythm of English, is first you have to get very comfortable using all the skills while reading out loud. So at first that looks like just reading the worksheets. So if you're going over the TH sound in week 2, it's reading and rereading and rereading the worksheets for the TH sound, reading the words, putting those words into sentences, reading the paragraph, and just getting a lot of focused practice reading out loud with that focus on the sound that you're working on. So what happens is that as you get comfortable reading, then it becomes much easier to transition those skills into presentations or conversational speech. I have some people that email me and say, I'm on week 3 and I just can't use the skills in conversation yet. And I say, you know what, that's okay. You're not expected to use it in conversation yet. That's what weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 are about. In the beginning of the program, my expectation is for you to learn all of the material. So weeks 1 through 6 or 1 through 7 is to learn all of the skills, learn the sounds, practice them while reading, and get very, very comfortable with those sounds and those skill sets. And once they're comfortable, then you'll start moving them into more natural situations. I don't want to stop you from trying. If you are working on, the TH sound in week 2 and want to go ahead and try using that in conversation, by all means do it. But it's not my expectation, because I know that it takes a lot of practice to make sure that that's very comfortable and very natural for you to use all the time. So it's kind of like swimming. So if you were not a swimmer, you didn't know how to swim, I wouldn't just go push you into a swimming pool and say, learn how to swim. I would put a life jacket on you. I would say, okay, here's a life jacket. It's going to keep you afloat. Kind of practice swimming around in the pool, kind of show you some strokes, show you kind of how to move your arms, how to kick your legs, how to get comfortable in the water with that life jacket on. And then as you go along, I'm going to say, okay, we're going to take this life jacket off. We're going to put in maybe a lighter life jacket that's not going to, help you as much, but maybe a little bit. And so as we do that, and then I'll gradually kind of say, okay, let's take the life jacket off. Let's practice a little bit in this shallow end. And so what we're doing is, instead of just throwing you in, I'm not going to say, okay, here's the information you need, now do it in conversation. No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, okay, let's practice it. Let's read out loud. Let's read all these different materials and get you very comfortable with that before we move into the next phase. Okay, so that step 2 is then structured conversation. This tends to be either structured questions, or presentations are usually pretty structured because you know the content beforehand. You have slides that you're using, and can practice with the slides. And then, so it's a pretty structured situation. So practicing out loud in presentations, and then eventually in unstructured conversation. Okay, so that's the final step. Don't expect it too soon. Make sure that you're doing all of the work beforehand before you expect to be able to do it perfectly in conversation. And then someday in the near future, you'll be a very strong swimmer. You're very strong in your English pronunciation, but an Olympic swimmer didn't get there by in just a few weeks. There was a lot of practice, there was a lot of training. And just as you know, with learning English, the English language, you didn't learn it in a few weeks. It takes time, it takes practice. Fortunately, pronunciation is easier than learning the English language. It doesn't take as long, but you'll find that even after the 12 weeks, you'll continue to keep practicing and perfecting and improving, and it's a lifelong process. But with this 12-week course, you really get the tools and the understanding to know exactly what you need to be doing, what it sounds like, how you're supposed to get your speech to sound that way. And then it's just continuing to refine and practice that. Okay, so I'm going to pull this out of so I can see the questions, and if you have any questions about this part of it. Okay, so I'm just looking through some of these questions. I'm going to answer your questions as we go along before we move on to the next section. So it says, how many times do we have to practice the daily worksheets? So that answer depends on how comfortable you're feeling with it, because just like it says on this slide, so first you practice the worksheet. So going back to kind of our slides here, first you're going to want to practice reading the worksheets out loud. So you read those out loud and you're saying, okay, I'm getting that, because the worksheets are very targeted. It's very focused practice. So you want to read those out loud, make sure that that's nice and comfortable for you to get the target sound, that you're getting the idea with the rhythm, things like that. And then as soon as you feel comfortable enough, then I would say jump into practicing reading other things. So reading out loud a book that you're already reading, or reading out loud a speech that are given. I wanted to actually show you guys. I don't know if you've seen this before, but in your on the website, we have a tab called Alumni. Now I've titled it Alumni because there's an alumni program for my Plus and Premier students that can they can continue to get feedback even after the 12 weeks. But this is still open for you for practice. And what we have here is, if you haven't discovered TED.com, TED.com, I would encourage you to go take a look. It is a fascinating website with all sorts of videos of people giving speeches about any topic you can imagine, it seems like. So what we have here is I've pulled just 10 of those speeches. There's the video of the speech and then the transcript. You can download the transcript down here. And what you can do, and actually I am going to recommend all of you watch this video. So it's Your Body Language Shapes Who You Are. I think it's such a fascinating research study that they did on body language and confidence. But what you would want to do is kind of watch the video and download the transcript. And as you're practicing, say you've kind of read through the worksheets a few times and you're feeling like, okay, I've got this, I'm feeling comfortable. Then pull out a transcript of a speech and say, okay, I'm going to focus on this one sound that I'm working on, and I'm going to read through this transcript of this speech as if I'm giving this speech, and I'm just going to practice. I'm going to practice in a very natural kind of speaking situation. It's somebody else's words, but at least it has that more of the flow of a natural conversation, a speech that's given. Okay, so definitely take a look at these speeches, the transcripts below. It's very, very helpful in your practice time. Okay, so going back here, so you can read a book or a speech out loud, and you really want to focus on whatever you're working on that week. So say you're in week 3 and you have to work on the L's and the N's and word stress. So then reading out loud, focusing on those targets. And then eventually you start leading into practicing presentations out loud. Say you have a presentation coming up and you say, okay, I'm going to just focus on making sure that I can get, the sounds that I've addressed so far in my program. I'm going to really work on giving this presentation and getting those sounds correct, or getting that skill set correct. And then eventually using your target sounds in conversation. So that question, how many times do we have to practice daily, the worksheets, just till you feel comfortable with it. And then start moving it. As soon as you feel comfortable with that sound, start moving it into other readings that are less focused, because the worksheets are really designed to give you as much practice with that target sound as possible. So like with the R worksheets, those sentences and paragraphs have a lot of R's in it. And so moving into a book that you're already reading or these speeches will help you kind of mix it up a little bit. Plus, it's just interesting information to kind of go through these speeches and read out loud and kind of put on that as if you were giving that speech. Okay. Let's see if there's any other. Oh, and Jen, the webinar is usually about an hour, so we'll be going for an hour today. Okay, so I'm going to jump back in here with our questions. Okay, so we already talked about this with the practice. Okay, so hopefully that's nice and clear for you exactly how to practice and what to do. Going through the videos, obviously you want to go through the videos first, but then there's also the webinars. There's other material that can help you kind of help you along the way, but that's the core of the program and how to practice the core of the program. Okay, so how do I speak? Here's another question. I'm going to move my thing here. Okay, so I can see all the words. Okay, so how can I speak a sentence smoothly without missing any of the last sounds of the word? So for example, when I speak the whole sentence, I found this great program called Pronunciation Pro. I tend to miss the sound D in found and sound D in called. Okay, so this is a great question, and this is actually something that I've kind of been debating over the last little bit. In the week 1 videos, we talk about the final consonants. We're talking about the final sounds on words, making sure that they sound either voiced or voiceless, and making sure we get those ending sounds, because so many times what I'm hearing is just students dropping the ending sounds of their words, and we can't have that because, and I'll explain a little bit more in a minute, but we can't have those ending sounds dropped completely. So what I do, and the Pronunciation Pro strategy, is first we have to learn how to get those ending sounds in there. So if you've gone through the course, I'm really emphasizing those ending sounds. And of course, we're not going to go through and say the baby cub held the cup. I'm not going to have you say, oh, look over there, that cub. I'm not wanting you to sound that way. But if your tendency is to drop the ending sounds, I need you to practice getting those ending sounds. And sometimes that just requires overdoing it at first and then toning it down. In week 6, then we learn about linking. Okay, and this is something that I've been debated as to whether I need to pull linking into maybe week 3 or something like that. And I've kind of debated over whether that needs to be sooner in the program, which I still haven't come to an exact decision on that, just because I feel like I don't want to overload you too much too soon. But that it might be something that I bring in sooner. But here's why I do it the way I do it right now, is that I've found that if your tendency is to drop the ending sounds, then a sentence like I like you turns into I lie you. I lie you. Instead of I like you, it turns into I lie you. Okay? And that's where communication, breakdowns occur, is when you're not completing those ending sounds. To a native English speaker or anybody, it's going to be I lie you. What does that mean? I lie you. And so we have to get those ending sounds. We have to get that in there. The trick is, though, is when it comes into linking, sometimes it's okay to kind of not release that ending sound. So let me explain a little bit more about that. So when it comes to pronunciation, you're always going to get your mouth in position for those ending sounds. So even though I might not fully pronounce the K sound in like, I have to get that mouth position there. So it doesn't sound like I lie you, but I like you. So I'm not saying I like you. I'm saying I like you. So what happens is that ending sound, instead of releasing the K, I'm releasing into the next sound. But my mouth is in position for that ending sound always. Okay, so I like you. So let's take that example that was given. I found this great program called Pronunciation Pro. So those D's, what we have there is that the D to the TH sound in found this. So what's happening is I'm not going found this, but I'm doing found this. So I'm not going found this and just ending on the N sound. I am actually getting my tongue in position for the D, which actually is in the same position as the N, so it's a little confusing on this one. But I am getting that D in position. I just don't release it. I just release into the TH sound. So this happens again with great program. There's a little bit of a T. My mouth is in position for the T. Great program. I do kind of release it a little bit as I'm getting my lips into the P position. Great program. And then called Pronunciation Pro. So I'm not saying call Pronunciation Pro. I'm not saying call Pronunciation Pro. I'm saying called Pronunciation Pro. So I'm getting that D in position. I just don't release it completely. I release into the P sound. So that's the essence of linking, and that's the essence of that's really why I teach such distinct ending sounds at the beginning of the course, is because I want you to develop the habit of getting your mouth into position for those ending sounds every time. Because every time it needs to be there, but there's sometimes that you don't release it fully. You just release into the next word. So as you're practicing, say you're at the beginning of the program and you're getting those ending sounds in there, practice connecting it to the next word. See if you can kind of connect then, found a great program. I found instead of found, you want to get that D in there, so you'd say found a. I found a great program. And actually, I had a student this week say, one of my premier students, she said, I was listening to my boss the other day, and this is after we've talked about linking, and I realized he said, hold on. And I was like, that's like hold on. It wasn't hold on, it was hold on. And so there's definitely linking and connecting that happens there, but we do have to get our ending sound. It just happens, it might just happen to lead right into the next word. Okay, so that's, hopefully it was able to answer that question about those, how to connect those smoothly within the sentence. If there's anybody that has any questions about this part of the program, then go ahead and ask. And we'll we'll kind of talk about that linking, but it looks like you might be okay with this idea. So if you're in the beginning of the course, kind of take this information and think, okay, I'm connecting, I need to get my mouth in position, but I can release into the next sound and connect it more fluidly that way. All right, let's see. So let me go ahead and see. I think the next part. Oh, okay. I was just going to do a few words of the day before I answer, get into kind of your questions. These are words that have come up this week that I want to make sure that all of you are aware of. Okay, so the word comfortable. I think there's a tendency to say comfortable, comfortable, and to break it into 4 syllables, comfortable. But native English speakers actually reduce it down to 3 syllables and say comfortable. Comfortable. So that fter is kind of an awkward to get the F to the T, but comfortable. Because the difference, because what I was noticing today as one of my students was saying comfortable, is it sounds like convertible. It sounds like a convertible car where the top comes down. And we don't want to confuse those two. Okay, so comfortable has 3 syllables. It's first syllable stress, and it's kind of reduced down to that 3 syllables. Okay, how about this one? Same idea, accidentally, accidentally. So what happens here is it's not accidentally, which is what I hear a lot of my students say, accidentally, no. It's not 5 syllables, it's actually accidentally. So that T kind of gets swallowed a little bit, but accidentally, accidentally. And it's stressed on that 3rd syllable, accidentally. Comfortable, accidentally. How about this one? Innovative. So this one is first syllable stress, has a long O and a long A in it. Innovative. 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 So Apple is very innovative. Okay, innovative. I was getting a couple of my students were stressing it in the wrong syllable, so it is first syllable stress. All right, sympathized, first syllable stress, and it has a long I in there. Sympathized, sympathized, sympathized. I sympathized with her pain. All right, good. Now, for your questions. Okay, so I see, is it Abby? Let's see, I'm on week 1. How can I practice letters I and E? They sound the same. Okay, so this is very, very common, and actually we go through all of the vowels in weeks 5, 6, and 7. And I and E, and actually I'm going to pull up the workbook and do a little bit on this one, but the I and the E sound, if you're just in week 1, you haven't gone through the sound, the listening quiz yet. So in week 2, you'll kind of, with the TH sound, you'll kind of hear how the listening quiz works. And what that is that you go through a listening quiz and you identify what sounds that sound similar, like the I and the E, how to distinguish between those different sounds. So just for fun, even though I know you're going to get to it eventually, let's go ahead and practice a few of the I and the E, because I bet you are not the only one that is having problems with these specific sounds. So I'm just kind of scrolling in. Let me get to that. Week 6. Okay, so we have week 6 of the program goes over E and I. So we have the long E and the short I. So this is actually very common with Spanish speakers because the I and the E. Oh, I've got some notes on here. So excuse my notes. I'm going to have to clean this up. Apparently I was writing in here. So what I want to do is do a listening quiz. So I want you to, Abby, I want you to kind of listen for the two of these. So this is what I do through the video is I go through and I say, and we'll just do a few of these. But for the first one here, I'm going to say one of the words, and I want you to tell me if it's the first word or the second word that I'm saying. And I'm actually going to, are you okay if I unmute you? So I'm going to unmute you. So is it Abby? Is that how you pronounce your first name?
Yes.
Okay. All right, Abby, here we go. We're going to do the listening quiz with you, okay?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to say and what's your native language?
That's Amharic, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's these two sounds are very similar. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say one of them, and I want you to tell me if it's the first word or the second word I'm saying. Okay?
Okay.
So fill, fill,
The
fill.
first word.
Okay,
First one.
good, good. So you got that one right. So I'm going to say the two words right next to each other so you can hear the difference between the two. So fill, feel, fill, feel. Okay, so what happens with the short I, that I sound, is that it has a sound. Yeah, so do that for me, And then the E has a long E, so E.
E.
So it's like you're saying the letter E, okay?
E.
E,
Okay.
good. So let's do the second one. So tell me which one I'm saying. Deep, deep, deep.
The second word.
The second one, good. So contrasting the two, dip, deep, dip, deep. So do those. So go ahead.
I can really hear you, but I can't make this sound. That's
Okay. So here's what I want you to do. So for the first one, I want you to say the first one and then the second one. So do that for me.
Okay. Feel.
And then the second one?
Feel.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is fill. You're doing it with the short I instead of getting the long E there. So you want to do fill, feel.
Feel. Feel.
Okay, so that's actually not a good example, fill and feel, because a lot of native English speakers will actually say, I feel bad, and they'll actually pronounce it like that. So let's go down to it and eat. Okay, that's a good one. So say these two for me. Say it, eat.
It, eat.
Yeah, there you go. Very clear difference between those two. Do you hear the difference?
Yeah, I can hear that.
Okay, so then do this one. Live, leave.
Live, leave.
Okay, so what you want to do is get just a wider position in your mouth, kind of like you're smiling. Leave.
Leave.
Yeah, there you go. Leave.
Leave.
Good. So do this one. Rich, reach.
Rich, reach.
There you go. So you're kind of holding that a little bit longer. So you want to get that wider position with your mouth. E. And actually, I wonder if I can turn on my video here. Let me see what. Oh, there I am. Hello. Okay, so I know this won't be recorded in the videos, or in the recording, the playback, but E. So you have I is more neutral. E has a wider position of the mouth. E.
Okay. E.
There you go. Okay, good. Okay, how do I turn off the webcam now? Oops, people can still see me. Okay, so, oh well. So what I'm going to do, so then do mit, meet.
Oh.
Mit, meet.
Oh, I'm lost.
Oh, so number 10. So there. Mit, meet.
Oh no, the thing is
Oh,
disappeared. I don't
is
know.
my video on top of it?
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Uh,
see. We are going to turn that off by, there we go. Did it go away?
mhm.
Are you still seeing my webcam?
No, I don't. But
Okay, so let me,
the page is gone already. I don't know. Maybe I have
okay.
to log
Oh,
in
here we
again.
go. Okay, so do you see it now?
Yeah, no, it
Okay,
disappeared. I don't know what it
let's see. Is
was.
everybody else
I'm
seeing
sorry.
is every for the rest of you, it works now. Okay, so it seems like everybody else is able to see the page. Okay, so we're gonna kind of move on, but does that
Okay.
make sense? The I
Oh
and
yeah, that
E.
makes sense.
Okay, so
Yeah,
it's
that
just a
makes sense.
wider, it's a wider sound with the E. Yeah, so like
Okay.
Fotios is asking E A. Is it like EA? So it's E. There is kind of a at the end, E, like you're saying the letter E.
Okay.
All right, good. Okay, so I'm going to mute you. Unless you have any other questions. Do you have any other questions?
No, thank you.
Okay, good. We'll move on.
All right.
Okay. Okay, so Fotios is asking, okay, meat versus meat. So MEAT, and I'm actually going, this is why my papers get all marked up, is because I write on them. Okay, meat versus meat. Guess what? They're exactly the same. Meat and meat are pronounced the same. So what happens is the vowel rules, when we go over the vowel rules, and you start that in week 5, but the vowel rules, to know whether if it's a long vowel that you're supposed to say, remember the rule: when 2 vowels go walking, the first one does the talking. So when there are 2 vowels together, like this, EA, EA, and EE, that first vowel is going to get its long pronunciation. E, E. So it's same like take, or let's see what it said. T. Anyway, I'm having a hard time thinking of a word that has that long A. If we go up to the long vowels, let me go up here. Long vowels. So like 2 vowels go walking. Let's see, waste. If you say waste, 2 vowels there, A and I, that first vowel is going to get its long pronunciation, so it's going to say A, waste, waste. Okay, so that's the vowel rules, and we actually get into that in week 5, where we have the long and short vowel summary. So I won't jump into that right now completely unless somebody's wanting that. But I'm gonna go through here with the questions. If you have any questions, go ahead and ask right now, and we'll go through it. I'm just going through the questions now, see if there's anything that we've missed. Okay. All right, then let's see. So what other weeks, or what week are, well, let's ask this. Depending on what week you are, there's certain sounds that you're working on. And what I want to know is how aware are you of the sounds that you need to work on? So as part of my program, I offer like a full accent assessment, and actually with the week 1, with the bonus package, I offer feedback for your week 1 assignment. So if you're in the basic package, be aware of that week 1 assignment I do give feedback on. So and during that feedback, what I like to do is give you some specific input on what areas you'll want to focus on. Now, the full accent assessment is a good way to get a very clear picture of exactly what you need to work on in your pronunciation. But the week 1 assignment, when you submit that, I do give you some feedback on kind of, here are some areas that you'll want to focus on and make sure that you're getting, you're paying close attention to, because the program does go over a lot of sounds maybe that you might not need to specifically work on. But I've also found that even if those aren't necessarily very weak sounds for you, it helps with your listening skills and being able to hear native English speakers and understand why they sound the way they do. So Longdo, I see that your hand is up. I'm going to unmute you. Is that Long? Are you there? I see that your hand is up in the webinar, and I'm not sure if that's because you have a question. Do you have any questions, Long? Are you there?
Oh, hello.
Oh, hi, Long. How
Hello.
are you?
Hi. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to
Oh,
raise
okay.
my hand.
Accidental
Sorry.
hand raise. Do you have any other
Yeah.
questions? Thank you
Yeah.
for emailing me the question, by the way, for the connections. Did that make sense for the linking when we were
Yeah.
talking about the linking?
Yes, that helps a lot. Thank you.
Yeah, good. And it's just about a practice. You just have to practice, and make sure that you're making those connections
Yeah.
as well as possible. Okay. Well,
Yes.
good. Okay,
Yes. Thank you.
I'll put you back on mute here. Okay. Okay, so Fatios, you're in my Plus package, and what that and you're asking. So part of the Plus package, for those of you who don't know, part of the Plus package is that we have an assessment that you do, and it's a full accent assessment. You read through 60 words and put those words into sentences. You have a paragraph you read, and then you speak spontaneously for a few minutes. And what I do is I listen to that recording and I analyze. I say, okay, let's focus on these areas. These are the areas that are weak in your pronunciation and your fluency. And then through the Plus package, every week of that program, you get feedback on your weekly assignment. So Fotios is asking, so in my assessment, there's some areas that you propose, and it says discuss with your trainer. How will this happen? And I write that because there are some sounds or some skills that are not necessarily addressed in the core of the program, but they are in the bonus lessons, or they're addressed as needed as we go along, because sometimes there might be some errors in your assessment that I'm thinking that might just be specific to that word, or it might be a pattern. I'm not exactly sure yet. But as you submit your assignments, weekly assignments, then I'll have a better idea, because I'll get a lot of exposure to your speech patterns, and I'll have a better idea if I'm hearing that error in other situations, then I'll be able to direct you and say, hey, I want you to go work on the j sound in the bonus lessons. And I can give you feedback that way. So any of those times where it says discuss with your trainer, that just means I'm going to be listening for those things. I'm going to be paying attention to those sounds and keeping an eye out for those sounds, or an ear out really, for those sounds, and making sure that we draw attention to it and work on it as needed through the program. If I'm seeing that is a problem and something that's coming up, then we'll address it. I should probably use a different phrase than discuss with your trainer. I should, will be addressed as needed is what I should phrase it as. Okay. All right, so I'm going to go back here. Let's see. So if there are any other questions, go ahead and ask. I'm going to go ahead and ask in the webinars. One thing I just want to mention is that this process is a step-by-step process. It's gradually, week by week, and that's it's intended to be a process. You add a skill add a few skills each and every week, and you build on the previous skills. so that you just keep climbing upwards. And as you practice the skills that you're learning, you review the skills that you've learned in the past weeks, and you're bringing it all together, that eventually that you're moving forward in the right direction. And that this is, like I said before, this is a gradual process. It doesn't happen all at once. What I tend to see is that in the first 6 or 7 weeks, it's hard. It takes a lot of work. There's a lot of information. There's a lot to understand. There's a lot to learn. And then weeks 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12, it's like it all starts coming together. And what I've been kind of describing it is that you kind of, it's like you're baking a cake, and you have all these different ingredients. You have your salt, your eggs, your flour, your butter, your sugar. You have all these different ingredients, and you're getting those ready. And then you start putting them into the bowl, and you're mixing them around. And it's like every week you're putting another ingredient into the bowl, and you're mixing it up. And you're trying to use it all together in your speech patterns as you're reading out loud. You're trying to get all of that to work together. And then the next week you add another ingredient, and you're mixing it all up into your speech patterns. And eventually what happens around 6 or 7 is week 6 or 7, or I say 6 or 7, but it's really 7 is the last of the new information or the new skill sets. And at week 7, you have all of the ingredients in the bowl, and then for the next several weeks, you're mixing and you're mixing and you're mixing, and you're making sure that everything is coming together, and that you're practicing and reviewing and working to bring that all so that it works together for you. And that's done through presentations, it's done through conversation, it's done through all these different ways, so that you can feel, by the time you get done with the 12-week course, that you're feeling confident, like, I can do this, and I understand, and my mouth is getting more comfortable moving in these new ways, and that I'm going to be able to get this, take care of this. Okay. So thank you so much for coming today, and I'll see if there's any other questions here, but thank you so much for coming. If you have any questions, contact me, Annie at pronunciationpro.com, and I'd be glad to answer your questions, or use them for our next webinar. But it seems like that this time is a pretty good time. So I did have a few complaints from those in the UK and from other areas of the world, but that it's too late for them. But I like to kind of change the times around so that there's convenient times for you. And what I'm working towards is, in the next few months, is to have these webinars more often, so that I have a chance to answer your questions and that we can work together even more. Okay, so thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you being here, and I'm excited for you. I'm excited for this this journey that you're on, and in improving your pronunciation and fluency. And I know it makes a big difference, and I'm really excited for you to be going through this, and excited to be a part of this process for you. Thank you so much, and have a really great evening. Oh, so Jen, you were asking about the schedule for the next webinar. I usually do it then 3 or 4 weeks out. I haven't actually scheduled the webinar, but when I do, I post it, and I'll usually do it. I'll probably do it by tomorrow. I'll post it on the webinars page, and it will be on your profile page of the website. So I'll post the time and the date, and you'll be able to see it there. So and it's done every month. So I do one webinar a month. So you'll have a chance to do that. If you haven't checked out the webinars on the website, all of the past webinars I've been recording and putting up on the website. So for like tonight, this webinar, the September 18th, it was posted here. This is probably where you registered. But if you go down, all of the past webinars are here. So you can go through, and actually, I think I have one other webinar that I haven't posted. The last webinar, I don't think I've I've put up yet. I'm realizing it's not up here. So I'll be posting that webinar as well as this webinar. And those are available to you to review and to practice with as you would like. All right. Okay, thank you so much for coming tonight, and have a great weekend. I know we still have Friday tomorrow, but have a great weekend. So Abby, I'm having a hard time doing the speech assessment to record. Are you talking about the full speech assessment, or the week 1 recording? So are you in the Plus package or in the basic membership? Plus, so yes on the basic membership, right? So, or sorry, on the Plus package. Okay, so for the recordings, I'm going to actually unmute you. Abby, you there? Are you there? Let's see, I can't hear you. So tell me, so you're in the Plus package. Tell me a little bit more about what you're having a hard time with. Is it the recording, knowing how to record it? Is there an error on the site? Because what you should have is, if you enrolled in the Plus package, you should then, when you log in, see this where it says Pronunciation Pro Personalized Speech Evaluation. And so what will happen there is then you'll go through, and there's some recording options. And actually, I need to update this because I've found a few some better instruction on how to find a recorder that will work for you.
Can you hear me now?
Oh, there you are. Yep. So tell me a little bit about what's happening with your assessment.
Yeah, I'm trying to record it, but I'm in Plus package actually.
Okay.
And yeah, I downloaded the Audacity, and it didn't work for me. I don't know why.
Okay. So are you on a Mac or a PC?
Mac.
Okay. So what I'm going to do, go ahead and type in your either your email address or your username there in the questions box. And
okay.
And I'm going to email you some. Wait, sorry, I didn't listen. I didn't listen. PC or Mac?
Mac.
Mac. Okay. So what you'll use is GarageBand. I actually have a Mac, so I use GarageBand. And so it's the GarageBand tool. So let me actually, while we're here, let's see if I can even show you how this is done. So GarageBand has you can record your voice on it.
Oh, okay.
And this is actually what I use for all of my feedbacks for the Plus package. So I'll show you here. Okay, so let's see. So what I do is it comes up, and so I do new project, and then there's the voice. You can choose all of that. I choose voice.
Okay.
And then it pulls up. We're just gonna say save it there. So then it pulls up something here. And I go into, I always just say female, you would do male, and then I say no effect, because otherwise it kind of gives like this, surround sound, or gives some other effects to it.
Okay.
So you just write no effect, and then you click record, this red button down here.
Okay.
So you click record and you say, hello, this is my assessment, and you'll pull up the page where it says, it has the assessment. So then you'll read through the words, say the sentences, go through the whole thing, and then you push stop. And so you have your recording here, and then you'll say share and export song to disk.
Okay.
And what this does is then it creates an MP3. And if it's, if it's on AAC, you'll want to change it to MP3.
Okay.
And then you click export and you'll find a place to save it. And then you'll save it to your computer, and then you can upload it to the website where
Okay.
in the and
How do I do that?
so what happens here, so let me show you. So when you log into your account, you'll see this speech evaluation. If you don't see this when you log into your account, let me know, because it should be there.
Yeah, I see this one.
Okay, so what you'll do, see this where it says printable full speech assessment?
Yes, I did print out the
So
full thing.
yeah, so that helps in recording it. So that will help you record it. And then you'll click next here. You'll fill out some background information, and that's, that helps me. And I'm gonna have to write something in here so it'll let me move on. And then you go next page and see where it says choose file.
Yes.
So you'll choose then the recording file that you
Okay.
and then you'll attach that, and then you'll click upload. Okay, so then that will upload it, and then you go to the next page and you'll click the second, create the second part. So when you record your assessment, be sure to record it in those 4 parts that are mentioned there, because that breaks it up into 4 different recordings, and you can then upload it as you go through this. Okay.
Okay. Part 1, part 2.
Exactly.
Okay.
Okay. So it's just next page, and then but just make sure that you choose the file and then you click upload, and make sure it uploads before you move on to the next.
Okay.
If for some reason that doesn't work, just email the files to me. I can get them that way too.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Good. Okay, so I'll look forward to hearing your recording soon, and you can get started.
Okay.
With
Thank
that.
you so much.
once you submit the recording, then you're free to kind of go on to because it takes me a few days to get the assessment report done. And so you can go ahead and start with the week 1 videos and submit the week 1 assignment as soon as you're ready. Okay?
Okay. Okay.
All right, good.
Sounds good.
I'll look for that recording. All right.
Okay, Annie. Thank you so much.
You're so welcome. Have a great weekend, okay?
Yeah, it was well. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye now.
Okay, so Vishal, you're saying, so Windows. Okay, so what I found, let me see if I can find, I'm going to answer your question. I just need to find something real quick. So let me, I think that the program on a Windows laptop is called Sound Recorder. Let me just verify that though. So let's see. For a PC, a Windows PC. Yes, okay. So what you'll want to do, and this is something that I had found recently on WikiHow, but record your voice on a Windows computer. So what you'll want to do is, using Windows, you'll want to go into the Start button and then type in the search box, type in Sound Recorder. And then when you, hey look, my ad is right there. So then the sound recorder will come up, and you'll want to make sure that you have a headset microphone on, connected to your computer, and then you'll click start recording. It'll record your voice while you're doing it, and be sure you're still doing it in the 4 parts if you're doing the accent assessment. And then click stop recording, and then you'll want to save that recording. It'll prompt you to save it, so save it to your computer, and then you can upload it from the site there. Okay, so sound recorder, you're right. So sound recorder is the one you'll definitely want to use for a PC. Okay, good. Good. All right. If there's any more questions, let me know. Otherwise, we will go ahead and end this webinar. So I hope you all learned a lot today, and please join us again for other webinars, and please email me your questions for the next webinar as well, because I like to get an idea of where you might be struggling or where you're having issues with the program, and kind of fill in those gaps with the program, or fill in the questions as you're going through. So thank you so much for coming, and have a great night.